I never imagined I'd end up in a power struggle with our HOA president. But here we are. My name is Daniel. I've lived in Sycamore Heights for 5 years with my wife and our 2 kids, Emma and Liam, who are 10 and 8. We moved here for the top-rated schools in the quiet, well-kept community. The previous homeowners had joked that the HOA president, Karen Whitfield, ruled the neighborhood like it was her private kingdom. I laughed it off at the time, thinking they were just being dramatic. Turns out they weren't. For the first few years, we kept a low profile and stayed on Karen's good side. We followed all the rules, yes, even a 17-page landscaping guide. Trash cans were out and in on time. Holiday decorations came down before the deadline. We didn't rock the boat. That all changed when the school district modified the bus routes and added a new stop right at the corner of my property. On the first morning of the new school year, I walked Emma and Liam to the stop. A few other neighborhood kids were there too, and we were all enjoying the cool September air when a silver Mercedes SUV came screeching to a halt in front of us. The window rolled down, revealing Karen with her signature perfectly styled blonde bob and a face that looked like it hadn't smiled in years. "Excuse me," she snapped, her voice sharp enough to make some of the younger kids take a step back. "This is not an approved gathering area. You all need to disperse immediately." I stepped forward, keeping my tone calm and even. "Good morning, Karen. This is a new school bus stop. The district sent out notifications last month." Her eyes narrowed. I received no such notice. And as HOA president, all community changes must go through me first. These children are creating a noise disturbance before 8 a.m., which violates Section 12, Paragraph 4 of our bylaws. I checked my watch. The bus will be here in 5 minutes. We'll be gone shortly. The kids just need to catch their ride. "Not my problem," she replied coldly, giving a dismissive wave of her manicured hand. "Move them elsewhere or expect fines." Before I could respond, the school bus rounded the corner. Karen gave me one last glare before speeding off, but not before warning me, "This isn't over." I hoped that would be the end of it. I was wrong again. That afternoon, I came home to find a violation notice taped to our front door. It claimed I was organizing unauthorized gatherings and hit me with a $75 fine. That night, I combed through the HOA bylaws. Unsurprisingly, there was nothing in them that prohibited kids from waiting at a school-designated bus stop. I emailed the HOA board with a respectful message, attaching a copy of the school district's documentation and citing the relevant community rules. Just to be safe, I printed out everything, too, in case Karen showed up again. Sure enough, the next morning her silver Mercedes pulled up right on time. This time she stepped out in what I can only describe as business casual armor, a beige pantsuit with shoulder pads that could have been borrowed from an 80s power broker. In one hand, she held a tablet. In the other, her ever-present scowl. "I've documented yesterday's violation," she announced with fake cheer, "and now you're facing a second offense. That's a $150 fine." I handed her the paperwork. "Actually, Karen, there's no bylaw against using a district-approved bus stop. I've copied the HOA board on all of this." Her smile vanished. "You think you're clever, don't you?" she hissed, snatching the papers. "This isn't about a bus stop. It's about respecting authority and following procedures. You should have consulted me before allowing a bus stop near your property." "It's not on my property," I replied calmly. "It's on public land, at the corner. The school district made the decision, not me." "The school district doesn't need HOA approval for bus routes," I said firmly. Karen tilted her head, giving me a cold smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "We'll see about that," she replied in a tone that sent a chill through me. Then she turned to the children standing nearby, their wide eyes tracking the confrontation. "You all need to be quieter," she snapped. "Your voices carry into my home, and I work from home on important business calls." The bus arrived just in time. The kids climbed on quickly, clearly unsettled by Karen's presence. As the bus pulled away, Karen took a step closer to me. "This neighborhood was peaceful before your family moved in," she said, her voice low. "Maybe Sycamore Heights isn't the right fit for people like you." Before I could respond to what was clearly a thinly veiled threat, She turned on her heel, got back into her Mercedes, and drove off. That afternoon, I found not one, but 3 new violation notices taped to my front door: improper lawn edging, unauthorized garden border stones, and the most ridiculous of all, aggressive posturing in a community common area. That was the last straw. I decided to attend the next HOA board meeting. If Karen wanted a battle, I was done fighting it silently. When I showed up, she looked surprised momentarily, but quickly regained her usual icy composure. During the open forum, I calmly raised concerns about her conduct and the baseless citations. She brushed me off, accusing me of trying to circumvent established protocols. What shocked me most wasn't her response. It was the other board members. They didn't question her, not even once. It was painfully clear this wasn't about bus stops or bylaws. Karen needed control, and I had challenged that. The next week, things escalated. Karen began photographing my home daily, circling like a hawk, documenting every supposed violation. She emailed other parents, suggesting they organize carpools to a safer, approved location instead of using the designated bus stop. It was subtle sabotage, but it didn't stop there. I received a certified letter from the HOA. It stated they were reviewing legal action for creating a public nuisance and negatively impacting community property values. Then came Monday morning. I had an early work meeting, so my wife took the kids to the bus stop. When she returned, she was pale and visibly shaken. Karen had approached the children while they waited and told them they were trespassing, that authorities could remove them if they didn't leave. Our 8-year-old son was in tears, terrified he'd be arrested just for waiting for his school bus. That crossed a line. I immediately installed a small, discreet security camera on our front porch. It had a clear view of the corner bus stop, perfectly legal under both state law and, ironically, the same HOA bylaws Karen loved to quote. In fact, those same bylaws actually encourage residents to take appropriate security precautions. The next morning, I stayed inside, monitoring the feed on my phone. My wife walked the kids to the stop. Everything seemed calm until Karen showed up, right on schedule. This time, she walked right up to the kids. My wife was helping a neighbor's kindergartner who had dropped her lunchbox, so Karen took the opportunity to confront the children directly. "This is your final warning," she said, her voice stern and loud enough to hear clearly on the camera. "You're not allowed to congregate here. I've already called the authorities. They'll come and remove you if they have to. Your parents could face serious consequences." My son, still rattled from the day before, started crying, but Emma, our brave 10-year-old, stood her ground. "But my dad said this is where the school told us to wait," she said. Karen leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a near whisper. My camera's mic picked it up clearly. "Your dad doesn't make the rules here." "I do. And if you keep breaking them, bad things will happen. I know which house you live in." That was it. I picked up the phone and called a non-emergency police line. I calmly explained everything, that a grown woman was harassing and threatening children at a public school bus stop, and I had video proof. By the time I walked over the corner, a police officer was already there. He was speaking with my wife and Karen, who, unsurprisingly, was in the middle of delivering a very different version of events. "These children have been vandalizing property and creating disruptive noise levels," she said, her tone laced with faux concern. "As HOA president, it's my responsibility to uphold community standards." She even managed to look genuinely distressed. I approached calmly and introduced myself. "Officer, I think this might clarify everything," I said, holding up my phone. I played the video clip, the one where Karen leaned down and threatened the children. As the footage played, I watched the color drain from her face. Her expression hardened into panic. "That's taken out of context," she stammered. "And recording me like that, it's an invasion of privacy." The officer shook his head. "Ma'am, there's no expectation of privacy in a public space. And regardless of context, threatening children is absolutely unacceptable." He took our statements and advised Karen to avoid the bus stop from now on. I thought that might finally be the end of it, but I underestimated Karen. She doubled down. She started driving by our home several times a day, sometimes stopping to take pictures. Violation notices flooded in almost daily, citing increasingly absurd infractions, like the improper angle of our mailbox flag or an unauthorized shade of white paint on our exterior trim. Then she crossed another line. She started following my wife while she ran errands. That was it. I compiled everything, video, timestamps, witness statements, and went back to police. The officer I spoke to recognized the escalation and took my complaint seriously. He suggested I file for a restraining order. I did. 3 days later, Karen violated it. She approached the kids at the bus stop again, ranting at them about community rules and how some families clearly don't understand respect. But this time, the police arrived while she was still mid-lecture. They approached her calmly but firmly, placing her under arrest for violating the restraining order and ongoing harassment. "I'm the president of this community," she shouted as they led her to the patrol car. "You can't do this to me." The officer glanced at her, unmoved. "Ma'am, being the HOA president doesn't place you above the law." That weekend, the HOA called an emergency board meeting, and for the first time, the truth about Karen's behavior came to light. Turns out, we weren't alone. Several other residents had experienced similar harassment, threatening notes, excessive fines, and unannounced inspections, but had been too afraid to speak up. Karen's grip on the community had silenced them. Until now, the board voted unanimously to remove her from the presidency effective immediately. Then came the final blow. Karen's employer, a high-end real estate company, put her on unpaid leave pending an internal investigation. Her arrest had made the local news, including quotes from the police report about threatening children. I saw her one last time. She was clearing out her desk at the HOA office. Our eyes met as I walked past with my kids. Her face flushed red with anger and humiliation. "This isn't over," she hissed. "You've destroyed everything I built here." I stopped for just a second and replied, "No, Karen, you did that yourself." At her court hearing, the judge didn't mince words. Karen was ordered to pay a $5,000 fine, complete 40 hours of community service, attend anger management classes. As the sentence was read, Karen's carefully crafted image shattered. She sank into her chair, her mouth frozen in a silent scream, mascara running down her cheeks. Reality had finally caught up with her. The neighborhood has been quieter since. Peaceful, even. The kids still wait at the same bus stop every morning. And now, nobody bothers them.